Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. In this series of videos, I would like to explain the essentials of Python for DevOps engineers. Before going to learn about the essentials of Python, we need to know why exactly we need to learn Python as a DevOps engineer. The reason is automation. Automation is an essential skill for every DevOps engineer. We do automation in most of the projects as DevOps engineers on daily basis. There are different areas in which we do automation. Here we can see some of the different areas where exactly we adopt Python for doing the automation activities. Let us go through in brief about these areas where exactly we can do some automation using Python scripts. Let us start. Let us start with infrastructure provisioning and management. In the organizations, we create and provision the infrastructure using various automation tools. For example, in the cloud like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, if you want to provision resources, we use tools like Terraform for infrastructure as code and Ansible for configuration management. So we use the combination of Terraform and Ansible for automating the infrastructure provisioning as well as the configurations. So when we use these tools, sometimes we may need to perform some customizations for the resource provisioning and configurations. In that case, we can write the Python scripts in addition to the declarative files of Terraform and Ansible. In that way, we can use the combination of Terraform, Ansible, and Python scripts to automate the provisioning as well as configurations of resources inside different clouds like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and so on. So basically here we can use the Python scripts for doing some customizations in addition to existing automation tools. We can also use Python scripts when we want to customize some of the steps in different stages of CI/CD pipelines. So this is an example of a very simple pipeline. Generally, when we implement CI/CD pipelines, each pipeline contains many stages. For simplicity, I have shown here 3 stages like build, deploy, and test. So for example, when we perform the build, that means we'll make some artifacts like jar files, war files, or Docker images, and so on. When we want to deploy the artifacts in the target environments, we may have different approaches of deployment as per the target environment. For example, deploying of war files in a Tomcat server is different, and deploying Docker images in container-based environment will be different. And also, if you want to deploy ETL maps inside a data warehousing environment, so that is different. That means the deployment varies as per the target environment. In those cases, if we want to automate the deployment as per the target environment, we can use Python scripts for customizing the automation as per the target environment. We can also use Python for automating the testing as well. I'll show that in another slide. Here, Python scripts can be used to customize the automation parts of various stages of CI/CD pipelines. For example, deployment, testing, and so on. We have another important function, logging and monitoring in DevOps. Python can play a crucial role in logging and monitoring of infrastructure as well as applications. In terms of logging, we can write Python scripts through which we can search the required strings in the logs so that we can analyze them in the real time. For example, if you have application logs or infrastructure logs, if we want to find a specific error in these logs, then we can search specific strings through Python scripts to find various problems in the applications as well as infrastructure. So in that way, we can analyze the logs, and also if we have multiple sources, we can aggregate those logs from multiple sources using Python scripts. And in terms of monitoring, we can use Python scripts in addition to the existing tools like Prometheus, Datadog, and so on. So in these cases, we can customize various plugins of these tools using Python to collect the metrics of different applications as well as infrastructure. You can also get the application performance and the infrastructure resources usage using Python scripts. For example, CPU, memory, disk space, and so on. Based on these metrics, we can write Python scripts to take various actions, like we can alert the corresponding stakeholders to take specific actions based on metric thresholds. We can also count how many requests are coming to applications and how many requests are failing with error rates and so on. And we can write custom scripts to monitor the specific aspects of the various applications as well as infrastructure. So in this way, we can use Python scripts for different customizations in logging, monitoring, and alerting. We will see how to implement some of these use cases in the coming videos. We can also use Python to perform day-to-day operations on the operating system as well as to perform various activities on the applications which are running in the operating system. So we can write Python scripts for automating some of the activities in the operating system. For example, we can write scripts for manipulation of files. That means we can archive the files, we can backup the files, we can monitor the disk space in the system, and we can clean the disks if they cross some threshold limits. We can perform various system admin activities like process management, like user management, and we can monitor the usage of SSL certificates. As explained earlier, we can analyze logs. So for these purposes, we can use different modules which are provided by Python, like OS module and so on. We'll see in the later videos how to write different scripts to perform some of the activities of system administration. We can also use Python scripts for the integration of various systems or services through the APIs provided by corresponding systems and services. So here I am showing an example in AWS, but this can be applicable for the various services or systems in general. As an example, here we can see we can use Python scripts for writing Lambda functions in AWS, which integrates various other services. This is an example of generating thumbnails for the images uploaded to S3. Whenever clients upload images to S3, corresponding events will be generated. We'll write a function inside AWS Lambda using Python scripts that will process corresponding image, and it will generate a thumbnail of the image, and it will store that image inside another bucket. This way we can write different scripts in AWS Lambda to integrate various services. So here I have shown just AWS S3, but we can use DynamoDB, SQS, SNS, and so on based on the requirement. Similar services will exist in different clouds like Azure as well as GCP, where we can write Python scripts to integrate different services based on events. So Python can be used for the integration of different services or systems. We can also use Python scripts for the automation of various test activities like unit testing, functional testing, regression testing, API testing, and so on. So Python provides various frameworks like PyTest, Robot, Unit Test, and the integration with Selenium and the frameworks for API testing. All these different frameworks will help us to automate different types of testing. For example, by using PyTest, we can write the unit test cases to execute automation of unit testing. Similarly, we can use the Selenium module of Python to test the functionality of various web applications. We can also use Python for testing the APIs by using the request module provided by Python. We'll see some of these test automation activities in the coming videos. Now we have seen where we can apply the Python scripts in various areas of DevOps, like the infrastructure provisioning and management, CI/CD pipelines, logging and monitoring, the operations on operating system, and the integration of various systems through APIs, as well as test automation. Now let us see what we are going to cover as part of this series of videos on Python. First, we'll cover the basics of the Python code. That means we'll learn about the syntax and data types provided by Python. We'll also see how to work with the functions and modules. We'll also see how to interact with the operating system, and also we'll perform some of the file system operations using Python scripts. We'll also learn about basic object-oriented programming with Python. Once we learn about core Python, then we'll cover some of the applications where we can apply this knowledge in the actual projects of DevOps. We'll work on some of the examples which covers the areas whatever I have discussed in the previous slides. I hope this video is helpful. Thanks a lot for watching.